Hey, good morning, Derek here. It is Thanksgiving morning. I am down on my own personal 6-acre parcel of raw land, and seeing as how I'm kind of in the process of doing a lot of the things that people that buy land from me are hoping to do, thought I'd do a quick progress video on my property, show you what we're up to here, maybe give you some ideas. I am by no means an expert on any of this, so maybe you have some ideas for me as well. 6-acre parcel in Southern Oregon, off grid for now. There are utilities at the street, and I'll show you how we're kind of trying to do a blend of more modern, on grid home site, and then kind of an off grid bunkhouse offshoot is kind of our phased approach. This is where I got the idea for the name of the business, Pioneer Spirit, because I definitely don't and didn't have any of the Pioneer skill set, but I had the Pioneer Spirit. I saw the draw of taking your own blank canvas of land and making it into your own vision with a lot of hard work. So hopefully this is helpful, and I'll show you around the property. So this is one of the major attractions that drew us to this property. This is a year-round creek for the most part that runs, kind of splits the 6 acres in half. 3 acres on one side and 3 on the other. The other side is really just steep sloped mountainous terrain that goes up to the ridge of this mountain here that you can't see, but it's behind these towering evergreens. Not a lot of usable space over there. There is a flat leveled out potential home site for an off-grid cabin or something across the creek, but it really just kind of is a buffer against civilization. On the other side of my property line is thousands of acres of BLM land, so we got a lot of standoff. So behind me here, and I'll flip the camera around, but you've kind of got this thinned out trail. It runs alongside the creek here. This property hadn't really been maintained for 20 years or so, so there's just a lot of deadfall, a lot of fuel on the ground, a lot of cleanup. But we kind of thinned this area out, and I'll flip the camera around here in a sec. Thinned it out, made it a nice little walking path alongside the creek here, and maybe one day before the kids are too old to care, put a nice little tree house or platform here alongside the creek. We've owned it for about 3 years now, and I wish I would have started documenting it like this earlier, because we have done quite a bit of clearing and trying to get it a little more comfortable for people to come out here, getting rid of blackberries and burrs and deadfall trees laying everywhere. And then it kind of opens up. I'm walking towards the eastern property line. We cleared out a nice little access area to the creek. Up here a little bit, you get a nice little, I wouldn't call it a swimming hole, but once the creek's up high, nice little place to cool off after a hard day's work in the brush. And this area we've really cleared out. This was all blackberries. Idea is eventually to put a fenced off or meshed off garden. This area gets pretty good sun in the spring, and this was all just blackberries. All right, so this is my current favorite project on the property. This is a 10 by 20 off-grid bunkhouse that we're building. It'll eventually be my office and just kind of a place for guests to come and stay. 10 by 20, 15 feet on the high end there, 12 and a half on the low end, just a slant roof, 200 square foot structure, but I'll show you the inside. It is lofted, and I'll say this is really exciting because the last 3 years, a lot of it has been, I like to call it cleaning up the past, just blackberries, dead timber, you know, cleanup work, and now we're kind of building for the future with this initial structure. And again, the property is just becoming a lot more comfortable. The kids want to be out here more. Family wants to come out more often because it's not just an overgrown mess of thorns. So let me take you inside. This is inside the bunkhouse. Obviously it's you know, cluttered with a bunch of stuff as we're still kind of mid-construction. Nice big window here. Let me get to the side here. It's a cramped space. It's a nice big picture window. Going in here, I really like it because you can look down at these wetlands, which we haven't talked about yet, but you know, some of the pond seeps through this dike and it creates this little wetland area that you're looking at right now. A lot of frog pond willows. Turkeys like to roost in there. A lot of bird activity in the spring, but I really like kind of the focal point when you're looking out this window is this big evergreen tree which was struck by lightning or something, but it's just kind of a cool little focal point. Gives the property some character, and especially this view. You can see the top of the mountain there a little better. Just a real cool view. Creek's running right down there. Maybe we'll clear some of these little willow trees out so you can have a view down to the creek. And then, like I said, it is 15 feet high. So the plan is to put a loft that'll run pretty much the width of or the length of the building, and then that'll kind of be the sleeping quarters up there. Get some nice, real comfortable beds to set up there so that, you know, people actually want to stay out here and enjoy the property. We have a bunch of windows to put in. We're not doing that now because we just want to get it dried in before the rain hits. But idea is to put a wood stove in here. I have a solar generator that'll run all the basic, you know, electronics, charging phones, etc. And then just a nice, you know, kind of little kitchen area there. And then this, that window will be looking out over this, one of two ponds. This is the deeper of the two. I'd love if at some point we got to a position where we could, you big dummy, it's freezing. What are you doing? You big silly kid. Get to a point where we could, you know, stock some bass and stuff in here. So this is pond number one behind me, shallower of the two ponds, and the eventual home site is there over my shoulder, and I'll show you a closer look, but that's what I live out of when I come down here, an old 1976 dilapidated truck camper with tarps and multicolored ratchet straps. Exactly what my wife did not want when we got a new property, was a bunch of tarps and beat up old rigs, but it's a work in progress. All right, so I'm on the eastern property line. A couple of things here. This fence, T-post field fence you see behind me, when we originally got the property was all covered in blackberries, and it was basically collapsed on the ground. So working with my neighbors, we tightened the fence back up, got it up to where it actually functions as a fence, but cleared this whole area over my shoulder off. And I really want to point out these little trees you see here I just planted in the spring. These are Leland cypress, and they grow about 2 foot a year. They're drought resistant, don't need a ton of water, except when they're in kind of the early rooting phases after planting. I really like them. I'm excited to see them grow. They'll create a nice screen here along my property line. So again, I'm off grid. There's no water, so you can see this IBC tote behind me. I got 2 of those, one on either side, and the original plan was to build a 4-foot little water tower and then have that be gravity fed on a no pressure timer from those totes to these trees, you know, every other day or so while they are in their rooting stage. But I point this out because some of the properties I sell, people are concerned about the lack of trees on a blank canvas piece of property. Some of them have none or very few. these are a good option. They don't require a lot of maintenance. They're sturdy and hardy. Like I said, drought resistant, don't need a ton of water. You could come up with an off-grid, you know, I got those IBC totes, 2 of them for $200 off of, you know, Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. So even on an off-grid property that you're not at regularly, you can get creative with, you know, how to make nature work for you even when you're not there, with a little ingenuity. So this is the view from the main home site eventually. Looking out over Pond 1. Obviously that trailer will be gone. You can see the bunkhouse is pretty well hidden over there in the corner, especially once we get it painted. It should blend right in. My wife's main non-negotiable ask was that from the home site you couldn't see any structure, and so, you know, that garden will be down below that big burn pile over there, out of sight, and then the bunkhouse will be relatively hidden, so that when you look out the front windows, all you see is this beautiful mountain and nature and the pond. So we're down here every couple of months, and I don't always have time to do giant projects, so some of these, you know, fun little half-day projects that don't require a lot of money or time is building a fire pit. You know, I'm not the handiest guy, so Google and YouTube are genius. Built a nice 8-foot picnic table, again just trying to make the property more comforting for everybody. And then I've got this dilapidated slice of hillbilly heaven that I camp out in when I come to the property. Kids will stay with me sometimes there. I don't think the wife has set foot in it. So hence the urgent building of the bunkhouse, so people want to spend more time. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Eventually, you can see my neighbor's shop through the trees, but I'll have a small shop there behind Hank where that big evergreen is. And again, the intent is to keep all the structure on this side so that you have nothing but nature looking across the rest of the property. So anyways, hopefully you've enjoyed this little virtual tour, see how I'm doing things, and, you know, glean some ideas on how, you know, you might want to develop your own piece of raw land. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to y'all real soon.